Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 95 of the MTB Podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Celery. I mean, Cyclery. I am Jeff.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Liam.
And today we are going to discuss some good stuff. We're going to talk about a quick recap of our recent epic MTB trip in Sun Valley, Idaho. Wow, yeah, it was good. We're gonna talk quickly about 4 different boutique component brands that we are quite impressed with recently, making some really solid stuff, and loads of listener questions covering topics from center lock versus 6-bolt, essentials to bring on your ride/trip, quick tips on how to pack your bike when you're flying with it. What else is in here?
Sandpaper is toilet paper.
Sandpaper is toilet paper. Cockpit setups, broken spokes.
Spaghetti suspension fluid.
Yeah, there's some good questions in here. There's gonna be no doubt some laughs and hopefully some valuable mountain bike knowledge, because that's kind of what we're trying to do today. Why are you looking at me so weird, Liam?
There's just a lot of stuff to cover, so
We might not get all of it,
we're going to get after it.
but we're gonna try.
There might even be some tears.
Well, let's play a sound effect and go on with our lives. DJ Green Goblin, play a sound effect. I think we should just leave that. All right,
Yes.
Sun Valley, Idaho.
Oh, gosh.
So we went there with Chasing Epic, which is a friend of ours, Steve Moken. He runs this company. They do fully supported, fully guided, fully inclusive mountain bike trips.
All-inclusive guided mountain bike trips.
Is that the tagline? I don't know.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah.
They're good. We've been doing sort of collaboration trips with Chasing Epic for several years now. We've talked about them on the podcast. They're always a good time. They're always tiring. We always ride a lot.
Yeah.
And we cover a lot of elevation and a lot of miles, and they're just good excursions. And Sun Valley is the first time we've ever been to Sun Valley, all 3 of us. And first time we went there with Chasing Epic, which was rad because they've been going there for 4 or 5 years, I think. So of course
probably.
they had like the whole trip dialed in, the best trails, the best stuff figured out. And I was impressed. Were you impressed?
Oh, extremely impressed. Such a good time, yeah.
It was.
I'd love to go back.
I had a good time. The trails there were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really were. So actually, part of the reason why we ended up going to Sun Valley is because when we went to Moab with Chasing Epic in October of 2020,
Yes.
right? It was kind of that weird phase of the trip.
Was. Yeah.
I thought Moab was awesome, but I also thought that's just riding on piles of rocks that are on top of like a major, big, larger rock. And
Was there rocks there?
so I said to Steve, I was like, hey, is there anywhere more maybe like flowy we could go to? And he's like, Sun Valley. And I said, okay,
Let's do it.
let's do that. So we scheduled that one, and it was flowy. There was some of those trails were multi-use with dirt bikes, and some of them weren't. Some of them were.
I didn't ride too many multi-use trails.
Yeah, we did. So
Only
we
one day
kind
we
of
really
couple
saw
days
dirt
we
bikes,
split up.
right?
We saw dirt bikes kind of one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of those trails were multi-use, some weren't, and all of them were definitely flowy. It's not it's definitely not a rocky, techie place by any means.
Right.
But it is unbelievably beautiful scenery and sort of these high-speed, flowy trails where you just feel like you're on a roller coaster just weaving back and forth through wildflowers overlooking snow-capped mountains. And it was cool. What were some highlights for you guys?
Oh,
I mean, I definitely think that last day we
For
did
sure.
was pretty awesome. But I was going to say, the trails in general are really good because you can kind of ride them close to full speed blind.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Like,
they have good
they're
visibility.
good
for the first time,
visibility.
which is great for a place that you kind of take a trip to. Because
exactly.
you can't have time to memorize these trails.
Yep.
So being able to kind of see around the corners a bit better can really allow you to sort of just open it up and also be safe simultaneously.
Yeah.
No drops, crazy rock gardens and stuff. So you can just kind of like rip it. And I went off trail a few times and you just go in the bushes and you keep going.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well-built trails, definitely that last day with the Hero Dirt was amazing. And that whole zone, like the Greenhorn, Imperial, whatever you want to call it, that whole zone, that was for sure a huge highlight. That was just an amazing, amazing time. I mean, that one downhill we did was like 5 or 6 miles. That was just like insane.
Yeah, there's some, and it is well built in the sense that The climbs are good. They're not overly annoyingly steep or hike-a-bikey or crazy technical. They're manageable climbs that meander you kind of at a nice pace up these big mountains, and then you just have these killer, flowy, long downhills. And yeah, that last day, the evening before, it had just poured rain, so we just got flawless dirt, and it was tacky and really fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we ripped that first downhill. And it was like we're on a slot car track on single track. Like you could do no wrong and your tires just gripped. And yeah.
That was so fun.
Right, left, just hook it up perfect. Yeah. It was so fun.
So yeah, needless to say, I think we would all recommend it, and everyone that also attended that trip was pumped and loved it. And I'm glad, because when I asked Steve, I want to go to a more flowy space, people sometimes are like, I want to ride jank and tech, and I mean, you like riding a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I do.
You liked Moab a lot.
I didn't get to go on that Moab trip.
No, I know, but you've been there.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, I do like Moab.
Train.
I like janky and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. It just beats you up, and like, there's definitely something to be said for how flowy and just like, it was just, you could, like Liam said, you could ride it blind and you could just kind of send it without worrying, like just wrecking your face.
Yeah.
And like, the scenery was just unreal too. I mean, yeah, I was just like pinching myself the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like a dreamland.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was a good trip. So anyways, we recommend Sun Valley, Idaho. We stayed in a little town there, which was great. Cool little place, beautiful, pretty high end. Felt a little bougie at times.
We were in like the resort, Sun Valley.
If you didn't
like
fly
resort,
in on
right?
your private jet, then who are you, really?
Yeah.
Right.
But no, it was a nice, beautiful, well-kept town. Just right by Ketchum was the larger town that was right there.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know that Sun Valley was teeny and Ketchum's like the real town.
Yeah.
Because everyone just says Sun Valley, but like really you're doing
Like
most of the
10
stuff in
minutes
Ketchum.
apart or something.
If that.
Yeah.
It was like 10 minutes on a bike apart.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, cool little shops and scene and bars. And what was the brewery we went to? Left Hand?
Lefties?
Like?
No, the bar. Yeah.
I guess
local
it was just
bar.
a bar,
Yeah.
local bar.
Lefties, Grumpies.
Lefties, jumpies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
that
cool,
was awesome.
cool spots there to
Normal
to
mountain
have fun.
bars.
Local mountain spots.
Yeah. Mountain town stuff. Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed that. Those Chasing Epic trips are a ton of fun.
So fun.
And by the way, Jared, Liam, thank you guys for joining that trip and helping out. Like, you guys actually do a lot of that work. I kind of just go and hang out and talk to people. And I mean, we all have fun, but Liam, appreciate you building and collapsing the bikes and all that sort of stuff, taking them out of the packs. And Jared, getting some good content. Got a little bit on Instagram. Put some more up there soon enough. But yeah, I think we're a good trifecta on those trips.
I think so.
Yeah. If only we could have huge groups, I mean, I think there was 12 people. They're pretty small. Those trips.
Yeah.
We pretty much, when we do these collaboration trips, we send out one email about it, and its spots are sold in an hour usually. So pay attention to our emails if you ever want to go on one with us.
That's right.
We got one more in September in Durango, which is already sold out with people on the wait list, but we will be doing more next year. I'm thinking Revelstoke next year. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm all in for Revelstoke. Let's do it.
I have no idea if it's going to work. I haven't even mentioned that to Steve, so don't quote me on it.
Pretty sure
he's been doing a Revelstoke trip.
Yeah,
so
there's a heli drop in there, and that'd be sick.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty in.
100% down for that, like Squamish or something like that. Like,
Any of
he did
those.
Squamish,
He
yeah.
just started Squamish, yeah.
Yeah, now that Canadia's a little bit more open, that would be fun to do.
100% down.
Nice. Well, things to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of mountain bikes, since that's what we talk about.
Mountain Bike Podcast.
Mountain Bike Podcast.
What?
Four different boutique component brands. I just want to mention these because these brands have been running through the shop a lot lately and catching my eye. I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of brands are not doing anything that makes me go, oh wow, I'm interested, or I want that on my bike. I don't know, I've just been a little bored lately. Not a lot of new stuff has come out in the last couple of years from any brand, but these particular four brands have been coming out with some pretty cool new stuff. So to start, Bird, B-E-R-D, we did a YouTube video about their very unique spokes made out of...
ultra high molecular weight polyethylene.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, it's what would you call that? It's kind of like a Chinese finger trap style woven. It's hard to explain.
Ultra high molecular
Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. So what is it? It's basically like a synthetic material that is what is it? Half the weight of a traditional steel spoke or something like that.
Yeah.
But it floats on water and it's twice the strength. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff like that.
It was wild. But those wheels showed up, I don't know, was that a couple years ago?
Yeah.
We got a test set of those wheels and we all rode them and we're like, holy shit. These are awesome.
Super impressive.
Yeah, they were cool. But so they just came out with a rim, a carbon rim, 27 mil internal.
Yeah.
27 internal, 18 mil deep, which they claim is the shallowest you can make a double wall rim. So,
and they made that in collaboration with We Are One and Kamloops.
We Are One makes the carbon rim for them, and then you got the bird spokes, and then the I-9 hub in the middle. So
it's a nice package.
Full North American wheel set.
Nice Jeff actually rode those in Sun Valley.
Yeah, I rode on that whole trip, and they were sweet.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah, I was really impressed with those wheels.
So sweet. Took them off my bike, and I don't have them now.
He's not taking them off his bike. He's going to keep them on.
Sometimes that's how these test wheels go. It's like, hey, why don't you guys, create content on these wheels, test these out, and then it's like, well, I'm going to just take these. Like, you have to pry them from my cold dead hands. They were good. I just really like those wheels because the rim worked great, but their spokes, I just like their spokes.
Yeah.
It just makes your bike feel quiet and have this sort of dampened feel to it, and super light in terms of spinning up to speed. And I just really enjoy riding those, and I think I might be totally hooked on those spokes for quite some time to come. So anyways, if you haven't checked it out, just hit YouTube, type in BERD spokes, and you will find probably our video and a number of others so you can see what these things look like. They're definitely unique. And on the topic of unique, 5Dev. Mm-hmm. So, the letter 5, DEV. Did we talk about this brand on the last podcast? I feel like we've talked about them at some point.
I don't know if we did.
I don't think so.
But you went there, right? You went to their headquarters HQ in San Diego, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we were talking a bit, and I was like, well, I'm going to be down in San Diego, so what if I stop by? And Will and Chris and Andrew showed me around, and crazy facility. So 5Dev is a branch of Fifth Axis, which is a very, very large machine shop that makes all kinds of contract work and like machine parts for other machine shops. So they're like the machine shop.
Wow.
So they do all kinds of stuff, but they're all mountain bikers, or a lot of them are mountain bikers there. So they wanted to make 5Dev products. And during COVID, they kind of sparked the project up and made some super unique looking cranks with holes in them. Nico Malali's racing on those right now, so might have seen them there. But yeah, it's cool to see their facility. They're just complete, machine nerds, and they love what they're doing. And it's cool to just see them make bike parks kind of for fun because
they're just highly passionate mountain bikers,
and they're really good at what they do. So
probably quite overqualified to be making mountain bike parts.
I'd say so.
You can tell when you look at the stuff. I mean, it's just kind of jaw dropping how premium it looks.
Yeah,
and the price point is also premium, but that's
for sure.
Get what you pay for.
But I mean,
and made in California.
In comparison,
cool.
For made in California parts, they're not too much more than some other machine parts.
But
these are cranks and stuff.
These are cranks, pedals, and a stem that you put on your bike, and they look totally unique. Yeah. Totally unique, especially the cranks.
Yeah.
I mean, you had those cranks with you in Sun Valley on your Mondraker, and everyone asked about them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't miss them. You got them on your bike now?
I do. And I love them. Yeah, I mean, it's the new limited edition cash. Is that what they call it? Cash color? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they are sick.
Yeah.
So, check them out. That's a brand worth paying attention to and just taking a look at in terms of, I don't know what you'd call these. They're lesser known. I guess they're slightly lesser known in the scheme of like big dog brands, boutique brand. But
boutiques.
I feel like 5Dev just came out of nowhere and we're just making these sort of jaw-dropping parts right away.
I mean, they kind of did. That was kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're killing it.
It's pretty rad.
They're sick. They make good stuff.
Yeah, it's really impressive. So the letter 5, DEV. Type that into the Google machine. Next up, Delium. Delium? How do you say it?
Delium, I believe. But don't quote me because I don't say anything right.
But with a
Helium with a D.
Helium with a D.
That's how we've been saying it.
So their whole thought process is to just make high-quality mountain bike tires that are not crazy expensive, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tires start at like $35.
That's what I'll say for them. I mean, they probably have their own messaging, but that's what we're taking away from this. They and you had those on that Forestall, right?
Yeah,
your current Forestall.
Yeah, I have them on the Forestall. I have them on both the Forestall test bikes that we have. I ran them on my Revel Ranger for a bit. They're really cool. They work really well. They start at $35, and I think they go up to $55.
$35 to $55. So that's literally basically half or less than half the price of a lot of other key mountain bike tire brands.
Pretty much the top two brands are double that price. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for being half the price, they're definitely more than half as good.
Yeah.
I'd say they're very, very comparable to a lot of other tires on the market.
For sure.
Yeah, in terms of just
grippy.
traction and specs and durability, and I mean, it's impressive what they're doing. I'm a little perplexed on how it's possible, to be honest, but
yeah,
let's let it rip. And
I mean,
so if you're someone who is tired of spending more money on a mountain bike tire than you're
tired of it.
tired of tired. Oh my god, how did you guys both catch that? I didn't even notice.
Liam's been on him today.
Trying to have a serious conversation here about mountain bike tires.
Jeff's tired of the tire puns.
Tired of expensive tires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're tired of expensive tires.
Yeah.
Looking to Delium.
You can't just drop something like that and expect
I
us
didn't
not
even notice, to be
react.
honest.
I mean, it's
You must be
perfect.
tired.
It's not on my. I am kind of tired.
Yeah.
Came in last night at 1 a.m.
Tired talking about tires?
I am tired talking about tires. This could go on all day.
I will say the Deliums, I think, are great for bikes you ride a lot. E-bikes.
Yeah.
Because you wear them out quick. So
Yeah. If
They're
you're
great
wearing
for
out tires and had enough of spending close to $100 every time on a tire, then
and knock on wood, but I have not flatted them on an e-bike, riding it really hard. So
Yeah, it's impressive.
I mean, in all of our experience and testing, these things have held up incredibly well, just as good as tires twice the price.
And they grip
Totally.
really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, the compound is legit.
Yeah. So another brand that is kind of making me go, "Ooh, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Ooh, is that funny to you? Is it funny to you, Jared?"
It is funny to me.
And the last brand making me go,
Hey,
is
what's going on?
O-Chain.
O-Chain. Let me see the O-Chain.
These guys are going to listen to that and be like, "Why did they do that to our? Why did they say our name like that?" O-Chain. So O-Chain is complex. At one point, we had Nico Mullally on the podcast, and we talked a lot about high pivot suspension design mountain bikes and kind of the overarching philosophy of why those bikes exist and how high pivot can help prevent the sort of pedal kickback and input from your chain as your suspension cycles through it. And O-Chain is trying to solve that problem regardless of what frame design you have by putting how would you describe it? They have it's all in the spider of the chain.
yeah,
ring.
it's a
Elastometer.
It's a little hard to explain without showing someone
elastomer
a
spider,
video
I believe.
because not even a
It
picture
is.
does it justice, let alone audio. People need to watch a video of this
I
thing.
mean,
It's an active spider, they call it. So essentially,
spider.
your chain ring is almost floating to your crank slightly. I think they have a 3, 6, and 9 degree version. You can just swap out the elastomers inside.
okay.
And essentially, as your suspension moves, you get a little bit of basically free play in your cranks to allow for what they call chainless feeling. So they're really inspired actually by Nico Mullally and then by Aaron Gwynn's famous chainless run at Leo Gang. Nico Mullally also rode a 4th place chainless run at World Champs one year.
In Rafael.
Rafael.
Wow.
And then Gwynn won a race without a chain. So they looked into that and they realized that the initial part of your travel is often dictated by the tension on your chain, on your suspension. So they made something to try to eliminate that. So
Yeah, it can really change the feeling of your bike.
yeah.
But yeah, that's another product that's just totally new and did not exist and very interesting and intriguing. And if you want to learn more about high pivot in general and get kind of into the weeds of suspension kinematics, check out our podcast episode with Nico, which was episode what? You have no idea?
92 maybe? 93?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just scroll back in the MTB podcast episodes and
91.
91.
Like,
Thank
Okay.
you, Liam. I was close.
Cool. Yeah. We interview Nico and get into the weeds of suspension and in particular high pivot suspension designs and pedal kickback and chain input and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Another interesting brand that's actually doing stuff that's surprising and different and just fun to pay attention to, which I really like. One of the things I will always love about the mountain bike industry that I hope never dies is boutique brands challenging big dogs, innovating, coming up with new stuff, and making premium level product that is just as good as the big dogs. Like I think that's pretty rare. It doesn't happen in a lot of industries, and I really like that it's alive and well in the mountain bike world.
Yeah. And our first batch we brought in completely sold out.
Yeah.
Like without any advertising or any mention or anything. So
It's crazy.
people are loving it.
Yeah, people are really curious on that. Well, let's jump into our listener questions. Starting off with a little humor here.
Very interesting. This is a great question.
Why don't you read that one, Jared?
Jeff, would you use sand?
It's directed towards me.
Well, I'm going to have you answer it first. Jeff, would you use sandpaper as toilet paper for the entire day for $100?
Well, I think there's a lot of variables involved in this because, one, you might not even poop that day, so that could be totally worth $100. Two, what grit sandpaper? There's 1,000 grit sandpapers that are nearly like regular paper. Also, how are you forced to use it very thoroughly? Like, how much pressure are you required to use? Because if you just kind of grazed sort of some of the dingleberries.
I think that's up to you, man. I think it's whatever level of cleanliness you feel comfortable.
Just for one day?
For the entire day. So it could be a good day, it could be a bad day. So, let's just say it's a relatively smooth grit.
And I assume you're not allowed to use bidets.
Well, he did not specify.
Yeah, there's a lot of terms and conditions that need to be written to this contract.
Yeah, Jeff makes every competition unfun.
That's what happens when you're the son of a lawyer.
I would say, I don't know. I'll answer. I would say it'd have to be at least $1,000. I mean, because I'm gonna have to spend some of that on the doctor's visit afterwards.
Yeah, a wise man once told me, "Never skimp on your own arse." And
did he seriously?
Yeah. So
Was he British too?
I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna skip that 100, man. I don't need that 100.
Jeff was thinking about it though.
Again, variables.
Yeah.
Speaking of variables.
Speaking of variables,
Pros and cons.
Oh, that's smooth.
Pros and cons of center lock versus 6-bolt rotors. I thought this was cool because when we went to Sun Valley, and I'd noticed Liam took off the rotors of all the bikes when he put them in the Evoc bags.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm surprised you did that because I never do that because I realized the amount of time it takes to take a rotor on and off versus how often it gets bent. I mean, you probably got a 1 in 4 chance of bending a rotor, and usually it's not bad enough and you can just bend it right back, and that's just easier to do than waste the time to take 2 rotors off of your bike with a 6-bolt.
Unless...
But then... they were center lock, which are incredibly faster. How much faster? We should put a percentage on
like 100%. We should 500% faster.
Yeah, I don't know how much.
Maybe 600% faster.
Without a power tool.
I didn't know. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even know the last time I did 6 bolts without a power tool.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
That's a long time.
That's true. We don't have any power
however,
tools.
you can. Here's a pro and con thing. A T25 is really small. Like the tool literally can be tiny, sit in the palm of your hand. Whereas a center lock tool,
it's huge.
It's huge.
Or it's a bottom bracket tool, or one of those big wrenches, right?
Yeah, and what do you even do if you're out on a ride and the thing comes loose?
You're screwed, right?
Which is rare, but you're pretty scred because
yeah, I've thought about that.
I mean, Wolftooth does have like the pack tool, but it's basically a bottom bracket tool you're carrying with you. But to me, that is the major con of center lock, is if it comes loose on a ride, which maybe happens if once a blue moon, you probably don't have the tool, which actually happened to me once. I was on a ride and I was like, what's up with my brakes? This crazy noise is going on. And the center lock rotor came loose, and I figured out when I got it back to the shop.
I will say I have seen not a ton, but maybe close to a dozen center lock rotors come loose in my life. Yeah. And I think I've maybe seen 1 6-bolt rotor come loose.
So there you go.
But it happens a lot less now. That actually, when center lock was first introduced and they didn't have that little ring on there, nor did they ever put Loctite on, it was like, that was more common for those things to come loose.
And I think it's one of those things too, like, it's your first couple rides, stuff loosens up, and then that's when it's going to come loose. You tighten it up a second time, you're good to go. Like, it's not coming loose,
Yep.
But yeah, I think last year I made the switch to 2 of my bikes being center lock because I went to Whistler and I tacoed a rotor on the flight there. And it took me like 2 hours to get it back to rideable shape.
Wow.
And
just
then,
because it was in the bag on the wheel?
It was in the bag.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
they just threw it on the plane.
Yeah, it was like visibly just like warped.
Oh, wow.
Like, so I made center lock and I've taken them off ever since. And to be honest, our bikes were going to be over 50 pounds anyway, so we took them off and put them in their bags. So
I mean, when you're traveling, center lock makes a lot more sense. Yeah. That's a good pro.
Yeah, but if you're not, then I mean,
who cares?
Yeah. Shimano makes their higher end rotors in center lock only.
That's weird.
So that could be a pro.
Yeah.
If you're a Shimano guy.
If that's your thing.
Yeah, if that's your thing.
Is there a weight difference?
Very small.
Negligible.
It must not be much of one, because otherwise I would know.
Yeah.
You just brought it up. Jeff's going to make me return his wheels, return his rotors.
Start weighing those rotors.
You're screwed. Oh, man.
Yeah, especially with titanium rotor bolts.
Yeah, I know. Especially titanium rotor bolts. I mean,
alloy center lock rotor lock ring.
yeah.
Super light.
All right, well, bust out the scale.
Bust out the scale. All right. Next question that starts out with, this isn't a question, but for a week, I thought your website was called Worldwide Celery.
And funny story.
Jeff did it earlier this podcast.
Funny story. One customer one time had taken our logo, and this guy must have been a graphic designer, and he actually changed the colors to some nice green hues instead of the colors it currently is, and made it Worldwide Celery, and the L's had sort of bushels of celery coming off the top of them. And,
Wasn't there like a guy like with a
yeah, it was like
celery
one of
face
the L's had with the bushels on the top had a smiling celery face, and
I don't think I ever
remember
saw
that?
this.
You never saw the Worldwide Celery
I
logo?
don't think so, no.
Oh, well, it might be in the drive or something. We'll show you.
yeah, I got a video message from Zach at probably 12:30 at night, and I was like, "Why am I getting?" And he's just at home answering customer support emails just for fun, just because that's what he does.
That must have been peak COVID.
And yeah,
Sounds like something
everyone was
Zach would
pretty
do.
bored. And then I click on the video, and I just hear him laughing, and he's like videoing the screen of his computer with this Worldwide Celery logo.
So ridiculous.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, I don't even know if cyclery is a word. I think when I made up the name of the business, I was 21, and it was just like made sense to me. I called it cyclery because I used to go to this place called the Baglery, the New York Baglery.
Well, that's made up.
In Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's made up too. But I was like, oh, Baglery, cyclery. And then, yeah, it's just a terrible name.
But I've heard of other places, like there used to be Westlake Cyclery.
Yeah, cyclery is I think it's sort of a term in the bicycle industry or motorcycle industry, whatever. But maybe not
Google
so much.
does underline it as red. when we
Yeah,
type
yeah,
it
yeah,
out,
a lot of times.
Eventually, it'll probably be a word, just like,
Doesn't make it,
Baglery.
just like Baglery.
just like Baglery,
Or like irregardless, which is now word because
Another-
everybody used it and it's wrong.
Another funny story I told about our too long name that I don't even really like was when I was creating the original PayPal account for Worldwide Cyclery. I was on the phone with a guy registering the thing, and he's like, "Oh, business name," and I said Worldwide Cyclery, and he said Worldwide. He says, "Is that one word?" And I said, "I don't know." Do you? And I'm not good at grammar. More of a math guy. And he goes, I think it's one. And I said, okay. And then luckily turns out it Worldwide was one word and not two words. So anyways, that's why it's just WC and not WWC, but WC is also like water closet, which is a bathroom in most places of the world. Yeah, anyways, I don't know. Who knows? Good.
Whatever.
You know what? You want to talk smack about it? You try and name a business.
Yeah.
See how easy that
And
is.
see how original you can be.
See how original you can be.
Yeah.
Get the
New
domain,
York
get a
Baglery.
trademark,
Pal.
make sure there's no one ranking already on Google for those terms. Like, good
Yeah.
luck. Naming a business is hard.
Yeah, get back to
I would
us
say
on
I did a
that.
mediocre job.
No, I think
It's not about the name, it's about the quality of the business.
it's a great name. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, oh well. It is what it is at this point.
You're in it now.
1 minute now. All right. On a more serious note,
Worldwide
here-
Cyclery changes their name to Worldwide Seller.
on a more serious note, here's an ad.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, mountain bikers. Jeff again. Something I personally believe in is that businesses should be operating in a way that supports the industry they're in and generally doing good for the world in their own unique way. This was largely the idea behind Trail One Components. Trail One was an idea that spawned years ago to build a brand that creates top-shelf mountain bike components while simultaneously giving back to trail networks. Worldwide Cyclery has a stake in Trail One alongside Brian Kennedy, aka BKXC, as well as one highly overqualified engineer. We have made some components so far that we are extremely proud of and that nail down exactly what we have always wanted ourselves on our own bikes. We would be forever grateful if you checked out Trail One Components to scope out what we have to offer. As a thanks, use the code podcast25 to snag 25% off your entire order at checkout. You can shop Trail One on the WC site or at trailone.bike. Again, that code is PODCAST25, and it will run through the end of August. Thank you, and good night.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back.
Are you recording?
When it comes to picking an efficient tire for your bike...
Okay, well, shit. Excuse me. Would you rather have a 1, lightweight and slow rolling tread pattern, or a 2, heavyweight and fast rolling tread pattern? Which combo would give you the best efficiency? How much does each characteristic contribute to rolling resistance? This is kind of a...
we could go deep in the weeds on this one, but I think Liam's...
I'm just going to say off the bat, it's really hard to have a lightweight and slow rolling pattern.
It doesn't really exist, because why would a tire company make something like that?
Yeah.
It's like you have a slow rolling pattern with a lot of traction, but yet it's a super lightweight. It just like doesn't.
Yeah, I guess it'd be a little
a
more common to have a heavyweight fast rolling pattern, which would be like just a crazy bulletproof city commuter tire,
or like a double down SS.
Oh, what even about plus bike tires when those were popular? 2.8 Recon, that was a thing. That was a heavy tire with a fast tread pattern. But that kind of thing exists.
But it's kind of hard to have either of these.
Yeah, it is a little bit weird. Yeah. And the other thing too is you don't want to, when it comes to picking tires, there's not just one thing that matters. You're not just only worried about rolling resistance. Rolling resistance may matter depending on your use case. More important if you're on the XC side of things. A lot less important if you're on the downhill side of things and you're looking for pure traction and durability. So here's my solution. One time we made a video and Liam wrote an article to accompany the video, and it covered all of our absolute favorite Maxxis tire combos. So, and basically we categorized it from kind of XC, so sort of lightweight, less traction, faster rolling, and then all the way up to heavier, more durable, way better traction, and everything in between, and made it really simple by just telling you literally the combo for each end of that spectrum and everywhere in between, and just broke it down in a video on YouTube and in this nice article, and had these nice little graphs, and it kind of helps better explain, hey, if your use case is X or it's Y or anywhere in between, these are some popular Maxxis tire combos that you'd want to put this one on your front and this one on your rear, and there you go.
It puts it into a nice digestible form.
There you go.
Yeah. It's a massive blog too, so go check it out.
Yeah, so maybe just Google something like Worldwide Cyclery Maxxis Tire Combos, and you'll stumble upon that article which has a video right on the top of it.
Yep. So I think there's a lot of graphs in there too, showing like rolling resistance and grip and kind of all that. So
yeah, because you are to some extent, at the tire manufacturer's whim, and like kind of this question started out with, which is like no tire manufacturer is going to make something with crazy traction that has slow rolling resistance that's also extremely lightweight.
Yeah,
that
paper thin.
That just doesn't really make sense.
Or it's like impossible. The taller knobs,
it's definitely hard. It's not impossible, but
it'd just be like nobody would buy that.
Yeah, you'd have a paper thin sidewall meant for XC, but with Assegai knobs,
it would be weird.
Except for a 90-pound person who wants really lightweight tires and a lot of traction.
Yeah.
Right.
And won't destroy them because they weigh 90 pounds and ride gently on smooth terrain.
But then you could just get like an EXO, like a dissector in the Recon.
Well, that's a combo I wrote about, dude.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there.
Well, howdy then.
Yeah.
Tires, man, it never ends. Right. It never ends. We've made a lot of content on tires, so check out our YouTube videos. We've put in a lot of effort over the years to explain the mystery of tire choice for your mountain bike to get just what you want for your particular use case. Next question. Who would like to read that one?
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of mysteries, is it tough to Jeff to not ride this time of year, waiting for birds to hatch in his hair nest?
I've always thought my hair kind of looks like a bird's nest. It has like a weird swirl, and it's also kind of the same color as twigs.
Totally the same color as a nest.
Yeah. So like where this calic is in the back.
There's one right there.
I'm gonna extend this question.
Yes.
If you could pick a bird to hatch in your hair, what would it be?
Canadian blue jay.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh,
like a
how
Toronto
about a
blue jay.
magpie?
I was gonna say magpie.
Yeah, we just saw these magpies, black and white, beautiful birds.
And those
were very cool. Idaho.
They're
we
kind
were
of
like, whoa, look at that.
They're kind of aggressive and intelligent birds too.
Could kind of jack you up, dude. You sure about that?
Oh, if I was a pirate, I could have a bird in my head.
a magpie.
You know, like
That
how
just terrorized.
some of those people have monkeys
Like
on
a
their
parrot?
shoulder, a parrot on their shoulder.
Yeah.
I would have a magpie in the calic of the top right
That'd
back
be
of my
sweet.
We could go
bird's
capture
nest hair.
one of those parrots in Sycamore, and you could keep it.
It's a good idea. All right, I need a haircut. Actually, I have a haircut.
Nice.
Thursday.
I'll cut it for you, dude.
No way. Too particular. Weird problems for me. My OCD. What is your favorite Zach Weaver story that is PG?
Oh,
PG for the pod.
Liam has a great one.
Well, yeah. Let's start with Zach Weaver is our customer service guru here at Worldwide.
Yeah, he's good. He's one of the best.
Legend.
One of the
A lot of
best.
times, if you email in and ask any various questions, whether it's technical or complicated or simple and easy, Zach, amongst several other people, are really good and qualified, and he's one of the qualified people. But he is also charismatic and funny and interesting and someone we like to
Also-
talk about because he's just a fun dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Also hilarious.
he's a highlight of a
Gets
lot of things.
gets himself into some situations.
Yeah.
But
Such
one,
as?
yeah, one that's PG for the pod. Zach and I and various other people at the shop like to ride early before work. We were going out early. I remember it was like almost dark, so it must have been winter. And we just got a bunch of chain rings from Absolute Black to try out. So Zach threw it on his own bike. He's also kind of known for not being the best mechanic on his own stuff. So he threw this chain ring on his own bike, and he's warming up kind of in front of the shop. I think he's like pumping up my tires or something. He goes, "Whoa, man, this oval chain ring feels weird." And he's like pedaling it around, and he pulls up, and his cranks on his bike are not at like 12 and 6. They're instead at like 2 and 6. So they're not.
Just because the spindle, right?
Yeah.
Just one
One
notch
notch,
incorrect on
yes.
the spindle, and
Yeah.
the cranks are not pointing away from each other exactly.
They weren't even. They're one notch off. So the oval didn't feel weird. His pedals felt weird because they were off.
They couldn't go flat.
And I'm pretty sure I have an old video somewhere on my phone of me like asking him what's wrong with his bike, and it's pretty hilarious. So needless to say, I had to quickly fix it before he went on a ride.
Yeah.
But that's a great PG one for
That's
the pod.
a classic story that he will never live down.
No,
Yeah.
never.
And it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Everyone has those classic stories where they've made
You're
some
right.
mistakes working on their bike.
I'm sure.
We won't bring up any of your recent ones, Jerry.
What, like the rotor one? But that is just stupid. All four. No, let's just go
Well,
on to the
brake
next
adapters
question.
are a nightmare, regardless of
Yeah.
how advanced you are.
Fork,
but
post mount should be standardized. That's just my opinion.
all we can say is if you're ever installing your own rotors, brakes, brake adapters, really make sure you're paying close attention that the rotor has the correct contact with the pad.
Yeah, 'cause if
Meaning
not, your
you don't
brakes-
have the wrong adapter. Things like that.
The brakes might not work well.
Yeah.
If you don't do that right.
I'm going to ask this story after this pod.
Which leads us to our next question. What are your essentials you bring on a ride or a trip, excluding things like water and snacks? It's a great one.
Well, I think we could nail the. You need something to fix a flat tire.
Yeah,
Duh.
like a spare tube and
There was actually a
tire
lot
plugs.
of recent debate I wouldn't say debate, but a lot of kind of agreement that people are carrying pumps now, just small
Yeah.
hand pumps
Yeah.
rather than CO2s. CO2s are losing popularity because they're finicky, they're sometimes unreliable, they're bad for the environment. I don't know. You got to replace them. You go out on a ride, you get a flat tire, use a CO2. 2 weeks later, you go on another ride, you get a flat tire, and you go, "Oh, I used my CO2 2 weeks ago."
Yeah, and
Yep.
you didn't replace it. So that's the great thing about a hand pump is it doesn't go bad. You can just bust it out again, and it still works.
Yeah. So a lot of people are using hand pumps instead of CO2. So
I
that's
always
kind of a cool
bring
trend.
a
I
hand
think.
pump for backcountry rides, road or mountain bike. I'm a big fan of tire plugs, be it Stan's darts, Dyna plugs, or even just bacon strips.
Bacon strips.
But you carry a tube also, right? I mean, I carry a
always have
lightweight.
I always
Yeah,
have
it
a
was a tube.
Tubolito on me.
Tubolito, man.
Tubolito.
The most expensive tube that hopefully you never use.
But
That's what I
That should be their slogan,
but
shouldn't it? The most expensive tube that hopefully you
Some
never
people
use.
do run them as like they're in their tires all the time
Yeah, that's
because
true.
like they're lighter than sealant, I guess, and I don't know, but I wouldn't want to do that.
yeah, I've used them and then folded them back up and put them back on the bike. They're not like a one-time use.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's just our use case,
valid
I
point.
guess, right?
those are good.
Yeah, so something to fix a flat tire. or various things to fix a flat
Master
tire,
link.
like we mentioned.
And a
always
chain
have a
breaker
master
and your
link.
multi-tool. Multi-tool is obviously a given.
Make sure whatever master link you have is the same amount of speeds that you're using on your drivetrain.
Yes.
I.e., if you've got a 12-speed drivetrain that's made by SRAM, have a SRAM 12-speed master link. If you have an 11-speed SRAM drivetrain, have an 11-speed SRAM master link. So, just make sure you don't mess that one up.
You want a tire lever? At least one.
At least one.
That's good to have,
That
zip
goes,
ties. You told me zip ties are always good to have.
Always carry zip
Yeah,
ties.
A couple little
zip ties and even like a little bit of electrical tape. Mm-hmm. Always good. You never know. Whether it's for your bike or for your body.
Yeah.
I always carry TP.
Wow, that's
Seriously.
smart. Yeah.
Carry
Yeah.
TP.
Totally.
Not sandpaper, but TP.
Yep.
Yep.
First aid is good if you're, in backcountry, I guess.
Yeah, take extra stuff the further you're going.
What else? I mean,
I always carry a derailleur cable,
yeah, I was going to say derailleur cable. Yep.
which is unnecessary with Axis. But in
Yeah.
that case, maybe
Or-
you want
or
a
a
battery.
battery.
I
Or an
always
Axis
carry
battery.
an Axis battery
Yeah.
on me now because me and all my friends have Axis, and I've used it. I've actually had to pull it out of my kit like probably 3 times and give it to buddies. So
Wow.
Yeah.
it's in
Really?
handy, yeah.
Yeah, that's the use case.
And the nice thing is you can just trade it to them and take theirs,
That's
and then
true.
you charge it,
And you
like,
charge it.
It's all the same. Like
Yeah.
yours is mine,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's nice.
That is nice.
Oh, multi-tool, of course.
yeah.
I would
multi-tool,
think
I
Crank
said that.
Brothers, your M17, that's what I have.
Yeah, Crank
My
Brothers one's
trusty.
solid.
Crank Brothers make a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
So does Lazine and Topi.
Yeah.
I forget about kind of
like
half
good
the
ones.
stuff because I got one up on my steer, Turbo Lito bolted on my bike. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, One Up makes their EDC, which has a whole bunch of tools sort of neatly packed into your steer tube.
I'm gonna
cool.
go for my type of skin complexion. I always bring
Sunscreen.
sunscreen, chapstick, and sunscreen for my nose.
That's smart.
Yeah, for the big rides.
Should probably do that too. Yeah. Wow.
I think that's
I think
pretty solid.
I think we did it. Maybe a water filter if you're
I was
on a
gonna
Yeah,
say-
one of
backcountry
those
ride.
Catadyne B-Freeze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
not
that's
the
useful.
one that I had on the Idaho trip because it did not work.
Yeah.
Well,
If
how
you're
about
somewhere
this? A
with
water filter that
streams.
you have tested
Yes,
prior.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, you don't want a brand new one that maybe was
Yeah.
too dry or expired or whatever. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
test your water
Good
filters
call.
prior because
Yeah,
you don't want to be messing with that.
one that you can rely on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we pretty much got that one dialed.
Yeah.
Yeah, not rocket science there. A lot of good YouTube videos on that.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's next?
Liam, you want to read this one?
Yeah. What is the coolest animal you have come face to face with in the wild?
Wow.
I got 2 for this
I'll
one.
go first. I mean, off the top of my head, probably Bobcat and Sycamore. Not super exciting.
Sycamore Bob?
I mean, well, honestly, no, probably Moose and Jackson Hole. I guess those
Ooh.
things are super cool. The Moose was really cool. They're huge and scary.
How close were you?
40 feet, 50 feet. It
Yeah.
kind of started coming toward us a little bit. So we,
I got probably that close to a moose in Park City.
yeah, they're cool. Probably Moose. What about you, Jeff?
700-pound silverback gorilla in the wild African jungle in southwestern Uganda.
I had a feeling that was
How
gonna
about
be the
that?
answer.
Yeah.
Catch me outside.
Yeah. Yours is a moose also, Liam?
No.
Oh, what is it?
Wait, real quick. Do people ride mooses? That'd be cool.
No, I don't think you
Not
can
even
wanna get
Canadians?
even
You know,
close.
I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure there are more moose attacks than shark attacks and bear attacks combined in the upper 48 or something like that.
I believe
Weird
that.
when
Or
I'm
actually
scared
North
of them.
America.
I guess they just
They
look
could
less scary, but they are really scarier.
destroy you.
Yeah, they're pretty aggressive animals.
And they're heavy. I mean, they're like weigh as much as a car probably,
Yeah,
and they'll just trample you.
yeah.
Gore you probably. Yeah, well, bison also gore. Well, that's different, but
Yeah.
oh, that's another one actually up there. Bison. I saw a bison in Yellowstone all over the place. Yeah, those are cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I was hiking in Ojai once and came across a bear, like
Wow.
pretty close. And like the one time I was hiking on this trail, not riding it. So don't ever hike bikes trails you ride your bikes on.
Yeah.
That one kind of spooked me. One of my favorite animals to see. It's not. I think it's the coolest though. It's not like they didn't say the gnarliest. They said the coolest.
Yeah.
I love when I see horny toad lizards
Oh, yeah.
Those are
because
cool.
they're like they fit. If you ever pick one up, they're like
so cool.
3 inches big, and you look really close, and they're like the meanest little things. They're like 3 inches. So you're like, oh, you little mean cutie thing.
Did you know they have a natural self-defense mechanism where their eye swells up with blood and then sprays at you?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
I've picked
yeah.
them up,
If you
and
ever,
that's
if you ever
never
YouTube
happened.
that, I caught one and actually kept it as a pet. And my mom, of course, this is what you do when you're a kid. You find a horny toad and you're really proud and you bring it home and then your mom has to take care of it because you're an irresponsible little kid. And my mom would buy ants online because they eat harvester ants. And so we learned a bunch about them. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do a little YouTubing on horny toads, which are technically horned lizards, but they got that eye that fills with blood and then it'll like spray at a coyote. It's pretty cool. Yeah, those are cool animals.
Yeah, they're cool. They look like mini bearded dragons, but like if you look at
it's a very Southwest thing. I don't know if they have those elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a desert type of thing.
You look at a photo on Google, you're like, whoa, this is kind of a mean looking lizard, and then like you see
a mini dinosaur.
Yeah, you see the real size of it, and you're like, oh no, it's 3 inches big. It's not that big.
Wow. It's a cute little dinosaur.
Yeah.
All right. Which mountain bike technology, Axis, e-bikes, etc., where does it go from here?
Oh, that's supposed to say with MTB technology, such as Axis e-bikes, etc. Where does it go from here?
Live valve.
Oh yeah, live valve.
Flight attendant.
Jeez.
Is it called flight attendant or is it?
It's called flight attendant.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Like, what? Could I get you a drink or a snack, sir?
Yeah.
Cookies,
pretzels,
crackers,
cookies,
chips, freckles,
freckles.
freckles.
It is flight attendant. For some reason, I just my brain thought of flight attendant, and I thought that just doesn't sound as glamorous as I don't know, army pilot or something cool.
Hit up RockShox's naming convention.
Yeah, you do travel a lot, so I mean, it's not as glamorous too.
Flight attendant.
What's next, Jeff? What do you think?
I don't know. We've talked about this before on the podcast. I think mountain bikes are at a bit of an innovation plateau. I think it's pretty hard to make significant changes to make a bike better from here. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see a lot of incremental things, which would be arguably negligible.
Yeah.
Which again, I mean, you see things like Fox Live Valve and Flight Attendant. It doesn't really get much adoption or even the Trust Message fork.
Yeah.
Right. A crazy linkage fork that arguably worked 10% better, but cost 100% more than a normal fork. I mean, there's a lot of this stuff that's just it's tough to say. I mean, I think a lot of the technology and focus and innovation is going to be put into e-bikes, and it's going to be put into e-bikes in the same fashion that it's being put into electric cars. They're going to try and make e-bikes lighter, more efficient, more powerful. So you can have an e-bike imagine having an e-bike that weighs the same amount as your current bike, but goes 30 miles and can cover 10,000 feet of climbing on one charge.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that would be pretty wild.
Yeah.
So who knows? And what if it pulled the power from your brakes or had regenerative braking, right?
Yeah, like solar or something.
Yeah. So I think a lot of tech is going to be put into that, which is obviously still on the electric side. I mean, suspension, a lot of things are pretty tapped out. I mean, obviously we would all love to see the tire problem get solved and tires still go flat. It's not a huge problem.
It's pretty good though now.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's one of those problems that it's not problematic enough that people are just going crazy to solve it. But it's just annoying enough that it's just like, well, this would be nice if I never got a flat tire again.
And I mean, let's be real. If whoever solves that problem is going to sell 2 sets of tires to everyone and be out of business.
Well, yeah, that's the other problem. Then you got this whole business situation going on here where you have planned obsolescence in your product. And if you made tires that never went flat and never wore out, then you would only ever sell 1 or 2. Yeah.
I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. And I still want to see a really cool wireless gearbox that works well and has no quirks.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Which really, I think e-bike's a good platform that could be combined in the future.
Yeah. I feel like totally with the motor. I mean, it only makes sense that a transmission would be incorporated in that whole system as opposed to a derailleur and a cassette.
Then you can run a really strong, like one of those track racing chains that those guys just rip apart on the track.
Like on a moto or something, basically.
Almost,
right? Almost like a dirt bike chain. Yeah. I mean, I've seen one of those, it's like a tire pressure integrated into your wheel. Like you can change the tire pressure on the fly. I mean, I don't know, maybe something like that.
That's starting.
But that sounds like astronomically expensive. I mean, I don't know how much.
Yeah, they were going to start that. We're going off the mountain bike podcast and into other stuff, but they're going to use that in the Paris-Roubaix this year for racing.
Really?
Essentially, it's an extra bladder that, you start off with, 50 PSI. And then you could actually drain your tires to 35 PSI and it fills a bladder up with that extra 15 PSI.
Wow.
So you hit the rough terrain at lower pressure.
You could drop it.
Boom, you put it back
stopping.
to 50 for a sprint and you don't have squishy tires.
Wow.
That could be cool. I don't think that's going to change mountain bikes. But
yeah, more on the gravel scene or something like that. But I don't know. I guess for a mountain bike rider, you just keep your tire pressure pretty consistent.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to see, like you said, Liam, gearbox stuff. Because even riding, I rode a Z-Rod once, and a gearbox bike, when you have all the weight centered at the bottom bracket and no weight off the back, being your derailleur and cassette, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like, the bike handles really well like
Feels
that.
good. So. You don't tear up derailleurs. You don't have shifting issues. You can build a really strong rear wheel because you can have a better spoke angle. So there's definitely a lot of pros to it. There's just also a lot of cons to them. So
Yep.
currently, so yeah.
A lot of stuff there.
A lot of
Lot
stuff.
to unpack.
Lot to unpack.
Lot to unpack
We're
there.
going to have to wait for that one to play it out.
Yep.
Speaking of electronic things, next question is, do the heavier EMTBs actually cause too much damage to our favorite single tracks? I feel like that's a question that people would debate over.
Yeah, it's
tough
such a
one.
hard thing though, because me on a EMTB compared to I weigh 150 pounds. I'm a light fella.
Yeah, you're
Compared
right.
to a normal 200-pound guy on a normal bike, like
You're right.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
The weight on the ground is still similar.
Yeah.
It's a very debatable
Acceleration.
question.
Yeah, but I mean, e-bikes are not, like, you look at a dirt bike, and
Yeah.
it's just roosting dirt, right?
Yeah.
And making a rut.
Yeah.
E-bikes don't do that.
No,
We were
not
riding
at all.
the same
Roost
dirt bike
dirt.
trails in Idaho.
Yeah,
Like,
and they were not damaged even from dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Let alone an e-bike damaging that dirt.
right.
No,
Yeah.
I think as a whole, e-bikes do not cause any more damage to dirt.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more on the rider. Like, are you a skidder?
I would
are
agree.
you
Yeah.
doing stuff? Are you riding Strava lines and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
that's going to cause more damage than cruising your e-bike around.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the speed you're riding that thing
That
at.
too,
and
yeah.
If you're skidding like crazy and all
Yeah.
that.
And you're right. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you're a 300-pound guy riding an e-bike around, then versus you riding an e-bike around or 250, whatever it is, like,
Yeah. I mean,
you are going to cause less damage.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there as well. Wow.
Unpacking the damage from an e-bike.
We're just unpacking everything tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go too much to the weeds on that one.
Yeah.
No, me
Oh,
neither.
jeez.
But yeah, I guess not really.
Yeah.
All right.
Next one. Jared, read it.
Is there a common way to figure out how far apart your pedals should be, aka your Q factor?
Yeah. So, well, you added the AKA, your Q factor part.
I added that.
So Q factor, which we were talking earlier, is really hard to explain via audio. So maybe just Google that. But essentially, if you imagine, you're coasting on your bike, you look down at your feet, and how far your right foot is from your left foot is your Q factor, right? So if you spread your legs wide, that's a larger Q factor, and if you tighten them real tight, it's a narrow Q factor. Is that a decent way to explain it
Yeah, I think
via
so.
audio?
Yeah.
You just got to Google an
If you
image
stand
and
with your
you can
feet
pretty-
together, that's essentially on the pedals, it would be a narrow Q factor.
So this is a lot more relevant on the road cycling side of things because you're sitting on that bike for so much longer. You're really concerned about comfort and power and what else?
Yeah.
Pretty much that.
Knee muscle alignment.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting, your hips, because
hips.
you are sitting in that position.
And spinning those cranks
Very
for
repetitive,
hours and
yeah.
hours on that. Yeah.
Mountain bike's much more dynamic.
Yeah. Same kind of reason, just, quote unquote, fitting a bike to you is so much more important on
Yeah.
the road side of things versus the mountain bike side of things.
But then, there's more pieces on a mountain bike, like boost spacing, super boost spacing.
Yeah. Because mountain bikes, there's not really that many choices. I think at one
And then-
point there was kind of choices for your Q factor for
Early
certain cranks, and they
XX1
just,
days, there was.
There was,
Yeah.
and I think they reverted that because they realized, nobody really cares that much
Yeah.
about this. Like, we just
And
need to make it
then
more compatible with more bikes. Because you could at some point buy SRAM XX1 cranks that had the narrower Q factor that they offered, and it wouldn't fit your bike if your
Yeah.
bike was boost.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not a good situation.
Early 1x days, Jared.
Doesn't Shimano have different Q factors?
They might.
On their
They
like
probably
XT
did and pulled it
stuff?
back. I
Their
don't know.
XTR might still,
Yeah.
like very racer oriented
Yeah, you
nerd
don't have
stuff. Like,
you don't have too much of a choice. Like, you don't even really hear about it much in the
No.
mountain bike world. You more hear about, are these cranks compatible with boost or not?
Yeah.
And that's what matters. If your bike is boost or super boost, you need to make sure your cranks are compatible with that.
but
That's
then there's the other thing, which I always have to build Jeff special pedals because he wants the color of the long spindle Crank Brothers Mallet E in the short spindle version. So I always have to get the colors he wants, and then replace the spindle with a short spindle because he wants his feet a little closer together.
Well, let me explain. You have, with your feet a little closer together, you do have more power. Then, obviously imagine you can't pedal if the wider you spread your legs, right?
Yeah.
So you have a little bit more power with the hip alignment, and you also have more clearance, right? So if you hitting the side of your pedal or shoe as you're sort of going through a rock garden or something like that, or a rut or whatever, you have more clearance when your Q factor is a little tighter. There's a pros and cons there, right? Because you have less stability per se. Because if you have a wider stance, you have a little more stability. But it's so what I like to do is I like to run the non-wide spindle version of Crank Brothers pedals, and then I adjust my cleats, which will push my shoes as far outward away from the bottom bracket as possible. That also helps with clipping out because your shoe is further away from your crank arm, so it's not going to bump into it, and further away from your chainstay, so it makes it easier to clip out. FYI, if you ever want to watch an 18-minute video about how to set up your Crank Brothers clipless pedals in ridiculous detail, I did that on YouTube a long time ago. But yeah, so I run the regular spindle Crank Brothers with my cleats pushed, so my cleats adjusted so my feet are as far away as possible from the bottom bracket.
In order to negate the shorter spindle. So you can just have the longer spindle.
Don't make sense of this, Jared.
No.
Next question.
No. Because if I had the long spindle and my cleats adjusted to be essentially the same spot, then my shoes would be closer to the crank arm, making it harder to clip in and out. See?
Debatable. I don't know.
No, it's not.
It is 100%.
No, it's not.
If you just put your cleat in the normal position and you had the longer spindle, your foot would be...
No. My shoes would be closer to the cranks.
The shoes are closer
See?
to the cranks.
Okay.
See?
I rest my case.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a hard time for the whole explanation.
Don't confuse the issue with the facts, Jared.
My goodness.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess the most important part of this is this matters a lot less for mountain biking than it does for road biking. And you also don't really have too much of a choice for mountain bikes in general because it's more cranks made for boost spacing or super boost spacing or non-boost spacing. So
Yep.
Well, and I guess it also depends on if you're clipping in or not, right? I mean, if you're running flat
this
pedals,
is like almost completely irrelevant if we're talking flat pedals,
Right,
which is 45% of mountain bikers or more.
Well, but there's also some flats, I guess, that have a shorter spindle. So basically, whatever is more comfortable for you, right? Like that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, a lot of the antithesis of all of these types of debates in the mountain bike world is whatever you're more comfortable with is going to make you feel better on the bike, and if you feel better on the bike, you're going to ride it better and have a bigger smile and maximize your fun and comfortability, and it's all going to be happy days.
Fun is what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. So,
speaking of fun,
I like this next question because it's fun for me.
All right, you read it.
Is it worth trying different cockpit setups other than the stock setup? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
It can be as easy as adjusting your stem height with spacers, and you don't have to buy anything. That's super good way to like see what it does, right? Raise it up, raise it down. Mm-hmm. How does it handle your uphill performance?
Yeah, what you mean by that is if your bike came and it has, 20 millimeters of spacers below the stem and nothing on top, you could then move half of them on top, and you wouldn't have to do anything. This is just a simple adjustment you can do at home with nothing required but a couple Allen wrenches or even one Allen wrench.
And you'd be surprised the difference that it makes. Just like swapping a 5 mil or 10 mil spacer from bottom to top. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, I think it's not super expensive. It's definitely a cost, but trying different alloy handlebar rises to see which one you like. Your bike came with 25, try a 35. And just kind of go around with that, especially with alloy because it's a little bit more affordable to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, $50 handlebars are easier to experiment with.
Yeah, even same with stem length, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for cheap stems, like, going from like a 40 or 50 mil stem to shorter, like 30 something. I mean, huge difference.
Roommate's sister was just here, and she rode her bike, and I've got her set up with a 32 mil Rockville stem, and she was like blown away with how much better a short stem handled compared to her 50 mil stem.
Yeah.
So she like immediately was like, I need a short stem.
Nice. So, I love a short stem.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, I think it does, years ago, pretty much every bike came with a terrible cockpit setup.
True.
They all came with stems that were too long and bars that were too narrow and these horrible grips, and it was just a disaster. Slowly over the years, they've gotten better and better, at least on the high-end stuff.
For sure.
However, a lot of mountain bikes that I still see, even in the modern day, that are probably below that maybe $4,000 price point, they're still coming with really kind of just lame. You know, the bars are too narrow, the stem's too long, the grips are terrible. So it's totally something worth looking into and upgrading and learning about, and it makes a huge difference in how your bike handles and therefore how you ride it and how, well you can ride it. So it's a relatively cheap way to make a major difference to how your bike handles by just messing with bar width, bar rise, stem length, and good quality grips.
Yeah. I mean, she has a Yeti. All Yetis come with 50 mil stems, no matter what they are. That's just what they spec. I personally always ride a 40, and then she's a smaller girl, so like 50 mil stem, bringing it back to 32 is a huge difference. Yeah. And that's on a stock Yeti. Like, of course, it's good to mess with stock setup. So I think I think you should.
Yeah,
agreed,
100%.
And speaking of trying new things, which suspension oil goes best with spaghetti?
Well, I'm gonna say WPL because it's all edible.
Ooh,
really?
Yeah,
that stuff's edible. Their suspension oil is edible.
I'm pretty sure, like everything they make is like food safe because it's made like.
Pretty sure it could be the difference between death or not.
It's at least biodegradable.
You just started pouring
right?
your suspension oil.
I know it's biodegradable.
It does have a lot of interesting details about being more environmentally friendly.
Bio-based.
But you could eat it.
Bio-based. Can I put it on my spaghetti? I was
thinking
thinking
WPL, Whistler Performance Lubricants.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say,
just
go ahead and don't put
here.
any lubricant in your food on purpose.
Yeah, but I mean that's no fun. I'm gonna say, I'll wait for you to determine this. But I was gonna say Fox. What is it? The gold.
The gold.
Yeah,
15 weight gold. I mean, I would rather put suspension oil on my spaghetti than tire sealant. I feel like
absolutely.
if I needed tire sealant, I would clog.
And
like,
it would get rubbery and nasty.
I would go with Fox Teflon 5-weight fluid because I want the Teflon just to clean me out. Nothing's going to stick.
It might actually work as a laxative.
Oh, I bet you it'll do more than that.
Or as an agent of death.
Or what's the red one? Isn't there a RockShox one that's red? That'd be like close to marinara sauces I can think of.
Oh, yeah, there is one. There is a red.
It's like a shock oil.
Shock oil, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Shock oil. It's red. Or the
biodegradable, non-toxic formula is safe for mechanics and the environment. That's what it says on the site.
It does not say safe to eat.
It does not say safe to eat.
It doesn't say you can't, though.
It seems significantly better for a number of reasons. I mean, part of WPL's ethos is more environmental friendly.
Yeah.
This other says
greases, everything.
Premium bio-based formula made with natural ingredients. We're getting closer.
Yeah, natural.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a blanket statement out there. Don't eat it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's a nice legal disclaimer there.
Yeah.
But speaking of something you can eat, nope, just have an ad. Here you go.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, Jeff here. I wanted to quickly ask you all for a favor. If you've been listening to the podcast for a bit, you know that we own the apparel brand Kettle Mountain. We have been working extremely hard to create premium level mountain bike apparel with a very clean and minimal aesthetic while still keeping features and fabrics as technical and practical as absolute possible. It would mean the world to us if you could check out the Kettle Mountain website. If you get there, feel free to snag 25% off your entire order with the code podcast25. That code will run through the end of August on the Kettle Mountain website, which is ketlmtn.com. Again, that code is PODCAST25. Hop onto the Google machine and type in KETL. Thanks.
And now, back to the show.
And we're back. So, this listener, he broke a spoke, and he's wondering how many spokes can you afford to break before replacing them?
I think he's trying to say how many spokes can you break on your wheel before you should replace all of them.
Well, no,
or
I
just
think
the whole
I think
wheel in general.
I think what he's saying is how many spokes can I break before I need to like replace the ones I broke. But I think you just need to go
I think we should
replace.
call this
I think you need to just replace the one that you broke.
the answer to your version of this question is 1.
Yeah.
If you break one single spoke, your wheel has got one nice hell of a wobble, and if you continue to ride it, it will just all completely deteriorate.
Even
over,
if it doesn't have a crazy wobble, you just like the wheel is a system. Every spoke is a part in that system. You break one, the system's now flawed.
The
and
integrity
the whole thing,
has
the
been
structural
compromised.
integrity has been compromised and will self-implode if you continue riding even with one broken spoke. So the answer is your question is 1.
That sounds like a
none.
disclaimer.
Other
Yeah, you're right.
version, which was the way I interpreted it, is kind of the rules like if you break a spoke, fix it, break a spoke, fix it. If you do that third time, replace them all.
Really?
Yeah,
That's what I've
or
seen.
consider if you're riding a wheel that is just not durable enough for the type of riding or
that too.
your weight. Broken spokes have become way less of a problem since through axles. Pre-through axles, back when everything was quick release, there was so much more flex going on that there was just a lot more broken spokes. And it's not that big of an issue on any wheels these days, at least any higher quality wheels. But if you keep breaking spokes, you might want to consider, how quality is the whole bike in general. If it's good quality, then maybe just upgrade the wheels to something more higher end so you stop breaking spokes. Or if it's an older bike and you got quick release axles and kind of no way around it, maybe just consider saving up for a nicer bike that's got through axles.
Yeah. There's also more to it. Where is the spoke breaking? Is it always breaking at the hub on that J-bend? Usually means you rode your spokes too loose too often, kind of like a paper clip, where you bend it, and then it snaps. They're just stainless steel spokes, so they're going to snap if you do that. They break it. The nipple, like they might not have enough threads engaged. There's a lot more to it, but
yeah, wheels need maintenance.
Yeah.
A lot of people overlook the maintenance that wheels need in terms of just tension and truing, and it's important stuff. And increasingly important if you're riding the bike faster, more aggressively, or you're a heavier rider.
yeah.
So pay attention to your wheel health.
Seems reasonable.
Seems reasonable.
Wheel health.
Wheel
Pay
health.
attention.
Wheel health.
Wheel health.
Wheel health.
And speaking of reasonable, I think that's it. That's all for this one.
We should go home and eat some dinner.
That's right.
Yep.
I would like to do that.
It is currently 11:16 Eastern time, but we are actually on the West Coast.
Made it seem later.
So it's only 8:16, but it is getting late. It's past dinner time.
It's past dinner time.
According to Liam, you shouldn't be having dinner past 7:30.
That's if you go to bed around 10. You want 2.5 hours to digest.
Okay.
3.5.
That's fair.
Jiminy crickets.
Go to bed late tonight.
Yeah.
Jiminy crickets. Well,
right, guys.
if you've made it this far in the podcast, we genuinely love you for listening. And thank you. We appreciate it. We are going to continue to try and record more podcasts and also continue to try and deal with the disaster of my travel schedule so we can get these things recorded. Thank you. We love you.
We love you.
And good night.
Love ya.